All right, Shalom. Of course, I'm going to start off with giving all praise to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Yahweh who the world ignorantly calls God, and Yahushai who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. And I'm just going to do a little spiritual flow, so to speak, right on whatever, comes to mind, regarding, the situations in the world that's going on right now, man. I'll start off with, something that seems laughable to me is, you got these guys going around, on YouTube, man, saying that, what's special about the time that we're in now? It's like we're not in the end times. We're not in the end times today. There's nothing wrong, right? There was one dude the other day, I forget this cat's name, but there was a guy in the comment section saying, hey, the economy is booming. Everybody seems to have extra money laying around. Everything is back to normal. There's nothing really going on in the world to be concerned about right now. And again, I'm not even, sugarcoating this. That's literally what the dude said. I was thinking to myself, what the hell, what type of rock is this guy living under? Everybody has extra cash laying around. Dude, it's like either the two solutions I came up with to why he would make the statement, it either has to be one or two things. Either he's a extremely wealthy individual, so he doesn't know the money problems the average person is having, or two, he's just repeating what he heard the mainstream narrative tell him about the country and how the economy is doing. Those are the only two options. Either he's extremely wealthy, so he doesn't see the problems the average person is going through, or two, he's just a mindless zombie repeating what the mainstream narrative told him about everything. Those are the only two options for how a person, living in the year 2023 could sit there and claim that everything is okay. Everything isn't okay, man. I mean, you got to be a dumbass to sit there and say something like that, man. I mean, you have, shit, man. You got homeless people left and right out here, man. You got, people literally starving to death in the richest country in the world. Isn't that ironic? You have literally have people who are starving to death in the richest country in the world, right? America has a great abundance of everything that you could ever want, right? It has the abundance of, of food, abundance of medicine, abundance of wealth, everything that you want, right? That's why this place in the scriptures is called the beauty of kingdoms, right? That's why it's called the great city who reigns over the earth. And that's not talking about Jerusalem. That's not talking about the Vatican. That's talking about this country, America, right? America is the country that has dominion over the earth. That's why, if you do the research, America has like 900 military bases around the world, right? They have foreign bases around the world where they can send their troops to occupy it within other countries. Once again, it's like 900 bases. Look it up. What the hell other countries out there doing that other than the United States? Now, it could be, a few countries might have certain bases set up across the world, but nowhere near the amount of bases America has set up. Why? Because America is the city that reigns over the world. That's why America can lay out certain guidelines, we'll say, and other nations will be forced to go along with it. Just like, say, in Saudi Arabia, right? A couple years back, women over there, they were not allowed to operate vehicles, right? Because women didn't have as many rights as they do over here in the West. But then, over the course of a few years, due to America, telling them all, you better change that, right? You better change this oppression. So now over in Saudi Arabia, women are able to operate vehicles now. Because why? Because America and American ideologies have been pushed over there heavily now. And that goes back to the scriptures, right? It speaks about how the nations of the earth, they got made drunk off of the wine of her fornication. The wine of her fornication is talking about the American philosophy and ideology. That's what it's talking about. And again, all these nations in the world are following after America's belief. That's why, many places on earth have accepted, they openly have accepted the act of I gotta use code language, but rainbows, right? Rainbow people, read between the lines. They openly accept that. Why? Because America first accepted it. So then they want to fashion their societies to be like America. Because again, America is viewed as the golden city, right? This is the place everybody's willing to risk their lives to come to. That's why you have, foreigners who are willing to risk their lives on makeshift rafts to sail across the ocean just to get a chance to make it to America. I mean, shit, a few months back, man, there's a handful of stories that came out where they had people, right, Chinese people, sailing in on, speedboats and shit onto the beach. And then when they got there, they fled the, into America, right? They fled into the country when they got to the beach. Some of them got caught, but some escaped. Shit, I literally have somebody, going back like 6 years ago, man, there was a dude who contacted me on my social media from Africa, and he asked me, hey, man, is there any way that you could help me sneak to the United States? And I responded, I was like, oh, well, shit, well, first of all, what do I get out of helping you? And second of all, how the hell am I supposed to help you do that? But I'm like, no joke, the dude literally contacted me out of the blue from Africa and asked me, hey, man, can you help me sneak into the United States? So again, it's very real, right? These people out there all around the world, they dream about coming to America. Why? Because going back to the scriptures, right? Revelation 17, verse 18, the woman you've seen is the city that reigns over the earth. And that's America. That's not the Vatican. That's not Jerusalem. That's the United States. And anybody that doesn't believe that is just delusional. It's just that simple. There's one truth. There are many lies, but there is one truth. So anybody that doesn't believe in that one truth, well, you're teaching a lie. It's just that simple. So that's why, going to, these individuals on the internet, man, these people are going around deceiving and being deceived. Like there's this one dude out there. What's this guy? Ace Theo? He also calls himself Richard, right? Richard Demolished Doctrine. He's going around teaching that the flood, right, the great flood story in the book of Genesis, say the 7th chapter on down, he's saying that wasn't literal, right? So that didn't literally happen, but rather it's like a metaphor for like the end days or something like that. And I mean, this dude, I listened to his breakdown. I mean, this is like some of the most wacky shit that I have ever heard, just behind Perry the Preacher's bullshit. I can't even believe that this dude, will go on there and repeat what he's saying. Like he said that the flood, right, the waters, it's not literally talking about real water. It's talking about peoples. So I mean, this dude is totally lost, right? I don't know what the hell he's talking about. So that's a clear example of people deceiving and being deceived, because people will gobble that down that believe in him without question, right? Believe in his teachings. They'll accept that without even questioning it. So again, and that's a whole nother sign of the end times, because Christ warned that in the last times you'd have people rising up deceiving and being deceived, right? They deceive many, right? That's what's going on right now. You got, around the world, there's like 2.6 billion people around the world who claim to be believers in Christ. So guess what? A vast majority of those people are deceived. Even though they claim to believe, they don't actually believe, because they're, following after a false ideology. Right? If you're going to church, you're following after a false ideology, because the Christian church, even though they might mean well, right, even though they might have good intentions, they're teaching you a lie. And again, it doesn't mean they're deliberately doing it. Like the church pastor didn't sign some type of contract where he's going to deliberately lie to people on purpose. No, he's just teaching you what he was told. in his seminary school that he attended. The people who taught him, going up the ranks knew that this information was wrong. But again, it's a agenda that's being pushed. But again, the preacher on the pulpit, it's not like he's deliberately trying to lie to you on purpose. He's just teaching what he was taught. He was misinformed, and he's just pushing that along. It's very simple. And then the churches also sign, the 501c3 contract with the government, to get tax exemption. But in exchange, they can't talk about certain, things that criticize the mainstream narrative. Like the Christian church can't criticize, rainbow relationships, read between the lines. They can't criticize that. They can't criticize how certain states allow the act of bestiality, even though that's against the Bible. They can't criticize that. Why? Because they're under the 501c3. They have to push the doctrine of the mainstream without questioning it. So again, the churches are teaching people a lie. So if you're going to church, well, you don't actually believe in the Bible because you're being told a false understanding of the Bible. It's very simple. The churches, I'll say this, even though there's subtle differences between the Christian denominations, at the end of the day, they all teach the main teaching. There's some main teachings they all have. What's the word I'm looking for? They all teach the same thing on like the main teaching of the gospel, so to speak. Even though there might be subtle differences between them, they all have like the main story, so to speak, such as, I'll give the rundown, right? Most of them teach that Jesus Christ is the supreme God himself. They teach that he was born of a virgin. They teach that he died for every man, woman, and child on earth. They teach that he's a Caucasian with blue eyes and long flowing hair. He died for everybody. If you don't believe in Christ, eventually you'll die and burn in hell one day if you reject Christ. Oh, heaven is for everybody. So again, certain teachings like that, that's what they all teach. Even though there might be subtle differences between the denominations, they all teach the same thing as far as the main narrative of the church. So again, they're teaching a lie. So there's going to be very few people in these last times who are actually going to be saved. That's why the Bible says many are called, but only a few are going to be chosen. And that goes against the Christian narrative too, because they claim that you just got to claim you believe and then you're good. Right? Just accept that Christ died for you and then you'll be saved. Like even some of these churches, they'll think that, as long as you, confess with your mouth that you believe Christ died for you, that's all you need to be saved. Like going back to this dude Perry, right? He got his children to repeat the phrase, I believe that Christ died for me and paid for it all. Then he tells them, okay, you see, you're saved, right? You are saved. No matter what you do for the rest of your life, you can never lose your salvation because you have been saved. Because you said a couple words that you'll probably forget in 5 years, but that makes you saved. So if you say that when you're 7 years old and you die at 60 years old, all that time in between, no matter what you did in your life, you were saved. So again, it's like, this is the weirdness of these people out here, man, and they really believe that. Like, again, if you go up to any Christian and ask them a question like, are you saved? They'll be like, oh, yeah, I'm saved. Then you ask them, well, what are you saved from exactly? Which most of them don't really know an answer to the question. But those who do answer, they'll say something like, oh, I've been saved from hell. Then I'll respond and say, oh, wait, how have you been saved from hell if you never went to hell before? So, again, their mind will probably, won't be able to even comprehend that part of the conversation because they never even had a thought about that before. Again, they're just going around repeating what they heard from the Christian pastor of their church, and that's it. Again, most of them have never even read the Bible before, and even those who do have a misconception about what it means. So again, man, going back to the scriptures, we're in some serious times, man. This ain't time to be playing games. You got idiots out here, talking shit and acting like everything is normal, right? We're in peaceful times right now. We're in peaceful times. It's like, dude, you do know that the world is in like the most dangerous situation that we've been in our lifetimes. This is the most dangerous time that the world's been in since like the Second World War, right? 70 years. Everything's fine. What the hell are you talking about? Everything is fine. It's like, dude, you do know that there's a war going on right now where one of the players involved has the capability of destroying the entire Earth multiple times over with nuclear weapons. You do know that, right? It's like, this isn't a joke, man. I mean, it's just so laughable how, certain people are so retarded. They'll sit there and say, oh, everything is fine, everything is fine. But again, they're only saying that because they're doing okay, right? They don't, say for example, if they lived over in the war zone right now, they wouldn't say everything is fine. If they lived in Africa or Haiti, they wouldn't say everything is fine. Where riots are going on, right? Shootings going on every hour of the day. They wouldn't say that everything is fine, but because they live in the United States and are able to go to sleep at night without worrying about a missile coming through the roof and killing them and their family, then see, because of that, they'll be like, oh, everything's fine, right? Or they don't live in Haiti where they don't have to worry about, somebody breaking through the unlockable door of their hut they live in when they're asleep. That everything's fine, right? Since I'm not the one going through a hardship, everything is fine, right? There's nothing bad going on in the world, nothing to be concerned about. And again, this is the mindset that these people have, right? This is the mindset that these individuals have. Like that one dude I mentioned at the beginning of the video that came on my comment board and said everything is fine, there's nothing to be concerned about, the economy is good. It's like, dude, it might be good for you, but that doesn't mean it's good for, I myself or hundreds of millions of other people. You know what I'm saying? So again, you just got to be, watchful of who you interact with out here, man, because you're going to find out that a lot of these dudes, even these guys that think they're in the know, that they know what's going on, you're going to find out that they don't really know what's going on. Right? Everybody thinks they know something, but the fact is that they don't really know much. And a good way to think about it, man, if you want to increase your intelligence, you have to unlearn what they taught you. Because school, when you go to school, they're not teaching you how to think, they're teaching you what to think. Right? The school is not teaching you how to properly think for yourself. They're just teaching you how to repeat what you are told. That's why when you do these tests, you have to give the right answer that they decide on. Even if it's wrong, you have to give the right answer that they already agreed to as the right answer in order to pass. So again, you just have to repeat what you're told in order to pass school. And then most people, like 98% of people, will live their entire life without even questioning any of that information, even though it's a fact that once you graduate school, you forget like 80% of what you learned through the 12th grades of school. So again, it's just, crazy what's going on, man. But anyway, I think I'll end the video off with that. And I'm going to say shalom.